some house rules. So if you, I don't know if you can see the mute symbol, but if you do have it, please put yourself on mute so that we can hear everyone properly. Please do ask questions. This webinar is not going to be as interactive if you don't ask your questions. Just like keep sending questions our way. We just want to have a conversation with you guys. We want to talk about surviving COVID-19, of course, but also what is going to happen after COVID-19. Wow. And so this is my first virtual event, so I'm really hoping that it goes as smooth as possible and there's no technical glitches, so fingers crossed. So before I bring Jack on, I just want you to put in the chat box, what is the one thing that you want to get away from this webinar today? Again, you can send it just to myself, or you can put it in the everyone chat box. But what is the one thing that you're really thinking, this is why I came here, this is what I want to get out of today's webinar? So I'll just give everyone about 2 seconds. One sec. So what is the one thing you want to get from today's webinar? To build resilience, yep, definitely. That's what we're going to be talking about. To hear other people's journey, yes, that's what we're going to be talking about. Exploring new techniques for positive mental and physical well-being. I love that, yep. To push, to carry on in the unknown, yes, definitely. That's something that we're going to be talking about as well today. Amazing. So without further ado, we are going to get this party cracking. So I'm just gonna invite Jack onto the stage. Or actually, 1 second, before Jack comes, I just want to tell you what TeawithTols is about. If this is the first time you see my face, my name is Talua, and I'm the host and founder of TeawithTols. And TeawithTols is a platform that we just have conversations about mental health, about well-being, and also socioeconomic issues that affect young people around the world. So this is normally the structure of TeawithTols. I have a guest on and we, excuse me, and we talk about a particular mental health issue. But obviously today we're doing it online and we're having it live so that you guys can be part of this journey as well. But more importantly, I think I've had Jack before as one of my guests on TeawithTols, and he is just an inspiration in him, like in itself. Jack is a lifestyle and fitness blogger, but he's just filled with like wisdom cubes, and he's had an amazing like life journey with his mental health. And when he shares like with you, you actually take away practical techniques or practical tips to also improve your own mental well-being. So without further ado, please welcome Jack.
Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing?
Hey, Jack, how are you?
I'm good. First and foremost, thank you very much for inviting me on to do this. I think the last time that we did the TeawithTols chat, it was phenomenal, and I really, really enjoyed that. That was a while ago. And also, thank you very much for your introduction, man. That was quite the intro.
I got the tunes. Look, Jack, the last time you spoke, like you just said, we spoke about a topic that was discovering your passion, right? And so when I was thinking of, you know, you just read so much online about COVID-19, of course, but also how it's affecting young people, particularly like mentally, and what's going to happen after we go back to normal. I was just thinking of, right, we need to do a webinar. Not that we have all the answers, but actually we have a conversation as to how can we actually deal with this? What are the practical ways we can deal with this? Also, sorry if you hear like sirens in the background, because where I live is a bit mental. So Jack, how are you? How have you been?
I'm good. I am really, really good to a certain extent that I feel bad sometimes, because I realize like how tough this situation is for a lot of people, and it's a weird one, because obviously my life has been significantly affected, but And we'll get into the nitty-gritty of it in this conversation, but I've been really, really intentional, and that is one word from the jump that I want people to really include in their vocabulary more, because it will change your life when you start thinking about life in the ways of being intentional. But from the start of lockdown, I was very, very intentional about the way that I wanted to deal with this, and the person that I was going to be during it, and the person that I was going to be coming out of this lockdown. So I'm lucky enough to have had things go in my favor. So I feel very blessed and I'm very grateful.
I love that. So let's just talk about that for a second. When you're thinking life now in lockdown,
Yeah.
so back in COVID-19, and what being intentional means, like, what does that look like for you?
So I guess for me, being intentional is knowing exactly where you want to go in life. And you take a situation like this. We'll get into my story as a whole at some point, but me as a person, I am a big believer in the ability to turn negative situations into incredibly positive situations. If you look at things from the right lens and you come at them with the right energy, you can turn anything that is bad in your life and use that energy. And this is I'm not someone who's particularly spiritual or anything like that, but when you're feeling sad, when you're feeling depressed, when you're feeling angry, all of those emotions, they contain a wealth of energy that you can channel into other aspects and areas of your life, if you can find the appropriate outlets that will turbocharge your growth and your development. So yeah, I've just been trying to do that as best as I can.
Yeah, I love that. So what would you say like has been your main challenge in this? So like when COVID-19 happened and now everyone is in lockdown, having to stay home, doing, I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, it's doing the same things like every day. How do you actually, because I got to be honest with you, y'all, like I have found COVID-19 just so hard, but I really love just your perspective on being intentional with it. So what would you say has been your main challenge and you having to apply that approach of intentionality to it?
Okay, so I left my previous job about 3.5 weeks before we went into lockdown. At that point in time, the whole situation with the coronavirus, it was still a bit iffy about whether or not anything was actually going to happen. And I decided to take like a month off before I was due to start my next job.
Right.
And then obviously the coronavirus now came and my job was gone, postponed, everything like that. And I found myself in the situation where I'm like, damn, I have a mortgage to pay, I have all of my bills to pay, and I have zero money coming in. Now, luckily, I've been smart enough to when I get money coming in from my previous job, I've always put money aside for savings. And a bad situation comes about like this. But I realized very quickly I have got to work, and I have got to work very hard. And then it was a case of me making the decision of, do I go and just get any random job, stacking shelves or whatever, just to be able to bring some money in, or do I be a little bit more risky and, as I said, leverage this situation to my advantage to do something that I've always wanted to do? And something I've always wanted to do is start a business. I've been talking about starting a business for years, for literally years and years and years. And I just kind of looked at the situation and I was like, if I can't get it done now, like, this is the greatest reason possible for me to go out and actually do it. Because the way that I look at life is, when you have all the odds and you have everything stacked against you, you're in the very best position possible. And I know that sounds really strange, but the reason why is because you've already lost so much. Like, so it's all upside. Everything from that point is a gain. So I don't look at it as like, oh, okay, well, maybe I'm going to put myself in a situation where it could be even worse. I'm like, I'm now out of my comfort zone, and Taluya, you're gonna have to rein me in, because my mind is going to go all over this way and the other, that and the other. But touching on your comfort zone, and especially for any of the younger people who are in this Zoom meeting right now, and I really, really, really want you to hear me when I say this. One of my biggest regrets in life is not appreciating the value of being outside of your comfort zone. That is where you will make all of your progress. That is where you will tap into the grit, and I really mean this, the greatness that is inside of you. You are so powerful as a person, not because of the things that you can do, but because of your choices. When you decide to take a specific action and see it through, life becomes like limitless, and you just have to have that self-belief in yourself to know that you can deliver on the vision of yourself and the life that you have in your head.
So, you know, love that so much. And you just spoke right now to young people on here, and I can see, like, you know, a couple of young people who I actually know that are just finishing uni, so final year students, or, you know, year 11, so finishing GCSEs or A levels, and these are all final years, right? So there's a time period where this year particularly they were meant to go out into the world. Like, this was the time that was like, okay, am I going to travel, or whatever business idea, whatever they had, this was the time. And because of COVID-19, because of lockdown, a lot of them might be with their parents right now, or just family, which is great. But also, we all know 24/7 with your brother can be a little bit mad. So it's just like, you know, mentally, there's just so much happening right there. It's like, what advice do we give right now to the young people during COVID-19 in using that time of stepping outside of the comfort zone? How does that look practically, like every day, to actually start doing, rather than just like moping around, to put it bluntly?
Okay. For me, I knew that this situation was going to be extremely uncomfortable and going to be very, very difficult. And again, kind of going back to what I was saying, I'm a big believer in if you have to struggle, then struggle with purpose, because it makes it so much easier. If you, like, in life, and this is the best piece of advice that I've ever been given in life, and it's, you know, it's a statement. My mum told me when I was younger, she just said that life is hard. And it's true, life is hard. You can't protect yourself from, you know, getting hurt, from people hurting you, from life beating you down, from leaving you battered and bruised. You just need to accept that that is part and parcel of being on this planet. And when you can get to that stage where it's okay and you're able to deal with that, you can then start suffering with purpose. And what I mean by suffering with purpose is taking this situation, right, and knowing that you're already uncomfortable, knowing that, let's be honest with you, this is just a load of cruds. It's annoying. You can't go out with your friends, you can't go out partying, you can't travel, you're stuck in the house all the time. If you're lucky, you have a garden that you can go out and, you know, stand in, one ray of sun, but it's annoying. It's really, really annoying. So that's for me, that's something that I get angry about. I'm like, I have so many things that I would like to be doing. Let me take all of those emotions and put it into something that's going to help me to develop. So say, for example, you know, you do want to start a business, just try, just try. Sit, like 90% of the time, it's just showing up. So if in your mind, let's say you wanted to start a YouTube channel, right? Let's say you wanted to be a beauty blogger, or you wanted to be a gamer or something along those lines. Just start doing the work. Like, and it's really not that difficult. Like, I wrote a blog post recently about
that. I saw that.
Yeah, about day one is the hardest day. And just to give you guys some context, the reason why Talua and I did our chat last time is because I've been going to the gym now every single day for over 1,000 days. And I'm somebody who started off their journey at a very, very, very low and dark and difficult place. In 2017, my father passed away suddenly. My girlfriend at the time broke up with me a few months after that. I had a cancer scare. And I tried to take my life. Like, so when I'm talking to you, if you're in a place where you don't know what to do, you feel stuck, you don't know how to move, you don't know how to take that next step. Like, I'm not talking to you from somewhere where, you know, I've not experienced that. I have been there, I lived there, it's difficult, I know what it's like, I know how hard it is, but I'm telling you, I believe, like, the reason why I'm finding it difficult to speak is because I have so much passion when it comes to these type of things. You can accomplish your goals, regardless of whether, you know, you want to start up a business and make £1 million a month, or whether you want to become the prime minister of this country. I believe in you. If you believe in yourself, all you have to do is just show up and do the work, and it's not that difficult. Okay, let me get to some actionable steps now to actually help you do that. The way to start actually being able to build momentum is by taking this situation, right, and making yourself even more uncomfortable, but doing it deliberately with a specific goal in mind. So me, for example, I came into this lockdown and I said, okay, to turbocharge my self-development, I'm now going to start meditating every single day. I'm going to start journaling every single day. I'm going to start fasting for 16 hours every day. Now, I'm not suggesting do this because I'm much further down the road with my level of discipline that I can apply to my daily life. But maybe if you feel stuck, start taking cold showers every single day, or saying, I'm going to show up and do, you know, 2 hours of work, or an hour's of work, or half an hour's work when I don't need to, and slowly build on that and try to move the needle on a daily basis. And in the space of a year, you'll look back at the person that you were. And there's times when I literally cry, and I fall to my knees and I thank God because of how far I have come from that place where I was in 2017 to now. So always believe that you know, you can make progress and things can improve. I'm sorry for talking so much.
No, Jack, this is what I said at the start. Like, you know, like, I love talking to you. You just have so much passion and inspiration when you talk. And guys, if there's anything Jack is saying, please use the hand emoji or whatever, wave it, snap it, put the emojis in. Because honestly, like, I just love this so much. And I think, you know, what you were saying just now, there is power in like having a routine and being consistent with that. I think for me personally, during this lockdown, same as you, I was furloughed from work, and just some of the other speaking engagements I had, all of them cancelled out. And, you know, I had big plans for 2020, just like vision by you know, Q2, Q3. 2020 was like, not today, baby girl, let's try again next year. So like, I had to take a step back and was just like, what exactly are my goals? Like, what is it? Like, what is my vision? What do I actually want to do for the next, you know, 8 months or whatever down this year? And it was actually, I think the first couple of weeks of lockdown, I struggled so much because I didn't have a routine anymore. You know, I wasn't going to work. I wasn't, you know, like thinking about content or whatever. It was just like, wait, I just wake up and eat. Like, you know, and I wasn't going to the gym. All of the things that made me on my, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, everything's zapped. So I think actually just having that routine and trying to stick consistently to that routine is actually very powerful. Because like I said, I read your blog actually that was on Medium, and you were saying you made a comment and you said, you know, in showing up, you have to put yourself in a position to succeed.
Yes.
And I really love that. But I just want you to expand more. So when we talk about like, you know, in a time of COVID and building that sort of, you know, healthy mental well-being, what does that look like? Like putting yourself in positions, is that like not sleeping too much? I don't really know. How does that look like really?
It's difficult. It's really difficult. My process is so imperfect. Like I don't get things right all the time. Like I aim to wake up at 7:30 every day. I definitely don't wake up at 7:30 every day. But the point is,
you know, rest.
You have, it's just a case of trying, right? That's all it comes down to. You don't need to be so harsh on yourself. And this is something that I have to work on myself. But it's just, okay, you set the goal. And it's so important to have a destination that you're trying to reach, because when you know, okay, this is where I'm aiming to get, it's so much easier to be able to see, oh, okay, I'm actually moving in the wrong direction right now. Like I'm not helping myself get to where I need to be. And that's why I'm saying intentional is such a powerful word, because it makes you mindful of what you're doing on the day-to-day basis,
Right.
and you know, the actions and the steps that you're taking. But what you just said about having a schedule, I wanted to just use a quote by Annie Dillard, and she said, "A schedule defends from chaos and whim," and it's so true. Like, just having some element of your day that is structured, it will prevent you from falling off. And I think that is what I've learned from this process of going to the gym daily, is even if I do nothing else for the entirety of the day, I know by doing that one action that I will be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah, and I think that's the most powerful thing. I say this to my friends every time we struggle together and we, just want to complain. It's like, let's just be much better than we were yesterday. And that's the only thing, is actually sticking to, if it's one goal that you have for the day, but it's waking up with an intentional purpose, like you said. All right, so let's talk about life after lockdown now, right? Nobody knows what that looks like, really and truly. It's like, is there even an after lockdown? Like, what is that? But I know, again, because we have Genz'S and Millennials. If you don't know what that is 16 to 35-year-olds, because some people are like, am I Gen Z? Am I Millennial? But so we have young people that are actually on this webinar today, and a lot of them are thinking, what does life look like for me after this, lockdown? But for me, it's about the opportunities that are out there. So there was a question earlier from today that said, how will young people find opportunities after this crisis? Because there's a lot of negativity out there now on the news. There's the job market is crashing, we're borrowing money, do you know what I mean? So it's like, actually, I think for me, it starts from a mental perspective. Like, well, how do you go out there to actually find opportunities after this?
Abby, that came from you, right, Abby?
Yeah.
Can you just let us know how old you are? But I from the jump, I would say my perspective is starting to shift. I would say, how do young people go about finding opportunities? I would say, go out there and create them, make them. Like, there's another beautiful quote that I have to share. Nobody was not knocking on the door, so I built it. So like, go, if as long as you know what it is that you're trying to accomplish, then you can make your own way in this world. Empower yourself. We're so lucky to have the internet, because you can learn anything that you want to be able to learn. You can connect with anybody in the world through Instagram, through Twitter, blah, 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 blah. But otherwise, I would say, if you are looking for employment and stuff like that, you have to put the work in. Like, there really isn't, I've realized there's no shortcuts in life. And I wish there were. Like, there's not. But right now, again, this is where using the right perspective can empower you a lot. Right now, you know that a lot of people are going to be struggling. You know that a lot of people are going to be suffering. You know that a lot of people are going to just be watching Netflix and being lazy. That means that there's less competition. It means that it's even easier to succeed. And that's why I always look at negative situations as being positive, because when it's hard to do something, the majority of people won't do it. And therefore, it's so much easier to make progress. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope it makes sense. But
no, that makes perfect sense. I really love that. I love that perspective of the fact that there's less competition. When you just look at it like that, it's actually like, and can I just say one thing to people just off the back of that? It's actually, opportunities are everywhere, always. It's really up to you mentally to find your why. Like, why are you doing what you want to do? Like, why do you want to, start that blog? Why do you want to start that business? Why do you want to go into the sector? That why is going to fuel your determination. It's what's going to like fuel that passion. So that actually, when you then talking to an employer or you're just having conversations, that speaks through in a conversation, and people just see who you really are. You're not trying to put on a mask. You're not trying to be like this other person. So I think just finding your why is so important to fuel your determination. Guys who are just coming in now, please do ask your questions. This is as interactive as it gets. Keep sending them your questions. We have a question from Shagun. And she says, what advice would you give to your 21-year-old self if you were graduating from uni this year? What advice would you give your 21-year-old self?
I know if you can give us a little bit more information about like what degree you're doing and stuff, because I do think it's circumstantial. Like if you're studying medicine, the answer I would give you, it would be very different if you're studying art.
If it was just, I mean, Shaggy, please do write your degree down. But like, I think like a lot of 21-year-olds I've even seen on my gram are struggling with that same question. It's like, you know, I'm leaving uni this year. Like, what should I really do? I think there's this thing where it's like, should I just be laid back? Should I just use this time to just rest and like go with the flow? Or should I be actively, again, using the word that you started with, intentionally looking out for opportunities at this time?
I think everybody has a law degree. Ooh, congratulations, very nice. Okay, I think everybody has a certain level of understanding of what happiness is going to mean for them in the long term.
Right.
At the end of this is something that I'm discovering as I get older, but the purpose of life is to be happy. The purpose of life is not to be successful. The purpose of life is not to be famous. The purpose of life is not to be rich. All of those are byproducts or secondary things that can help facilitate your happiness, right? Mm-hmm. But the goal in life is actually to be happiness. So I would say is a general, vague, broad answer. Work on things that are going to allow you to be happy both in the present moment, but also in the future. With reference to Segun, with your law degree, listen, if you have come out of uni with a law degree, you're set, you're good, because that's an incredibly valuable degree. So well done to you, because you paid up front. You paid up front. You can go into pretty much any career path you want to now, if you decide that you do not want to be a lawyer. Like, so I would say, you know, if you're feeling a little bit burnt out or whatnot after university, take this time to get to know yourself even better, what you want to accomplish with your life, the impact that you want to leave on this world, because you can do absolutely anything, especially with a law degree. It will really help to facilitate your career prospects.
Definitely, I agree. So with surviving COVID-19 during lockdown and with surviving COVID-19 after lockdown, mm-hmm. there's a key thing there, which is building resilience. So I wanted to actually just have a chat to you with that. It's like, what does resilience mean to you? Like when people talk about resilience, what does that look like for you in your own life?
For me, resilience means to be immovable, to be formidable, to be able to use anything that comes your way to your advantage. It's kind of, I guess it kind of stems from Stoic principles, but resilience is life can throw. It's not that life can throw anything at me and I won't crack, I won't break, but life can throw anything at me and I'll try my best to use it to my advantage. I think that's really what it stems from.
So it's almost like, you know, when different challenges come your way right now, you're not asking yourself, why me? You're asking yourself, why not me? Like, you know, I'm the best person actually to, you know, go through this challenge and actually see something out on the other side.
To a certain extent, there's one thing that I often speak to is, in this life, you can play three roles. You can either be the victor, the victim, or the villain. And this really depends, like the way that you approach what happens to you in life. I don't think anything happens to people. I think that life just happens. Like it's just there, but you have to decide, okay, like in that situation where, you know, I lost my dad, my girlfriend broke up with me, I had the cancer scare, and then I tried to kill myself. After I tried to kill myself, I was like, wow, if I don't sort my life out, I'm in trouble. So I started looking at life in that way of, okay, I can approach this situation as being the victor. What is the victor going to do? They're going to turn the situation to their advantage, but they're also going to do it in a way where it's loving. And I spread love to all the people around me, even though I am broken myself, and make sure I uplift people. I can do it as the victim, and I can, you know, leech off of everybody's energy and be like, pity me, look how bad my life is, look at everything that I'm going through, why is nobody helping me? Or I can be the villain and I can use all of that hate, that upset, that sadness, and turn it against, you know, the people that are close to me or the people who have wronged me and put negative energy out there into the world.
Yeah, I really, really, really love that. I hope that's some practical, like just those three, the victim, the victor, and what's the third one?
And the villain.
And the villain. That's definitely really helpful. We've had two more questions that come in. The first one is, with the way things are going and the fact that many things wouldn't be in person but virtual right now, how would you advise someone who wants to improve their online presence with the view of making money too? So you want to improve your online presence and also make some cash.
Okay, so I think this probably is in reference to like social media presence and stuff like that. I'm going to tell you, social media is a difficult game. It's something that I've been playing around with for like the last 2 years, and I've built up a following of 11,000 followers on Instagram. But it's like, in my mind, that is a drop in the ocean. If you really want to have significant presence on socials, you need to have in excess of, I would say, probably like 250,000 people. So my business actually deals with social media marketing and stuff like that. But at the moment, from what I can see, the best way to actually develop a social presence online is through paid promotions. And doing sponsored posts and stuff like that. You don't need to put a ton of money behind it, but if you really do want to have, more of a presence online, that is one of the best ways to go about it, because it's a lot of hard work. I post pretty much daily. I'm on Instagram at least 3 hours a day. Like, it's not easy to, and especially when you're a small influencer, you're not getting paid for that. You just have to do it from passion alone. So I don't think I've given you the greatest answers to that question.
Basically, to make money is gonna be a journey. Like, you keep pushing. You keep pushing. We have another question from Jazz. Hi, Jazz. So it says, for the raging extroverts in the house, how do we survive when Zoom and video calls are getting tiresome because they've got nothing on real life interactions, but staring at the wall drives us insane? I'm with you, Jazz. That is definitely me, as in like 7 days a week. So yeah, how do we deal with that? Just obviously you're not getting the same level of human interaction that you do every day. It's like, when would this be over? Are we staying at home? Are we staying out? Who even knows? But it's just like, how do we actually deal with that?
I'm not sure that you're going to be happy with the answer, but for me, I try not to think about it, because it's definitely an aspect and an area of my life that I miss. I think the thing that kind of is carrying me through is I'm making plans for the future as to how I'm going to reward myself for having to have suffered this situation, and that involves going to Bali for a long time and enjoying my life.
Yes.
So,
no, for real. But I also think, I was thinking of this the other day, where it's just like, what has happened now with COVID-19 is showing us that nothing is really in our control. Like, nothing is really and truly in our control. So like, I've stopped trying to get frustrated at things that I cannot control, which is like, when this lockdown will be over, I'm just focusing on things that I can control. So like, what I can control is like how bored I am, what I do with my day. So like, I tell people this a lot, especially on social, that I've bought like too many puzzles right now, a lot of plans, like just things that I would never do naturally before. I start taking walks, like I have like a morning walk, and it's just finding things that I would never do. And I've started to learn more about myself in that journey. It's not pretty. I'm not going to pretend like every day has been great. Jazz, I'm like you. Like, I have tried to bang my head against the wall so many times, but I've also had really good days where it's just like, I didn't even know that I would love, just actually just being with myself and just taking a walk by myself and just enjoying my own thoughts and whatever. So I think what I would advise, especially there, is just, if it's not in your control, stop worrying. Like, just honestly, stop thinking too much about it, because it's only going to drive you even more up against the wall.
and actually going back to what Abby was asking and Jazz was asking, Jazz, for me, one aspect that has really helped me has been my social media accounts, because I have access to tons and tons of people that I can be in contact with throughout the day. So for you, if you're somebody who really is an extrovert, social media will help you so much, because you'll just constantly be able to talk to people. So it's something worth investing in, perhaps.
We've had another question as well, is how do we properly support friends or family who may be feeling anxiety, depression during this period, especially as we cannot physically be with these people? That's a really good question.
Do you want to start this one?
Yeah, definitely. So with my friends, with my closest friends, I've struggled with anxiety so many times, and depression as well. But what I do with my closest friends is every morning we just have a chat. And that could be like a chat, that could be like a prayer, but we just find out how each of us is doing. And at the end of the week, we have a highlight and a low light. So what has been your highlight this week? What has been your low light? So what's been your challenge? And we just talk about that, because obviously we cannot be with our friends and family, but the truth is everyone is going through something at this time, even if they don't say it. So what I've realized is really trying to ask, not to steal your word, Jack, but to ask intentional questions. Like the other day, I just asked my mom and my dad, I was like, what is it that you're worried about right now? And what do you want us to talk, like just talk about? Like not how are you? How is Boris? How is the weather? Like, you know, not all of this extra chat, just like, what is the one thing that is on your mind right now? And actually like with my parents, I had such a deep conversation the other day that I've never had in my 20 something years of living, because it was just an intentional question. It's like, I just want to talk to you as a human, not as my mom or my dad. And I think for me, it's how we've supported each other as family and friends, you know, and vice versa. It's just asking like those intentional questions and taking time to listen, and not every day give advice. You just listening to people and seeing how they're actually really doing. I don't know.
I think that's amazing. Yeah, I would second that. It's just be available. Let people know you're there. That you know, if it's so important to just let people know that they can call you anytime, anytime. That's the most, you know, when you feel supported by those around you, it's very hard to fall off, because you know you can pick up the phone and they'll be there for you. But also encourage people to as I said, to try and use this in a way to help them do something that they haven't done before. Just it is really difficult. It's really difficult, but I would say the best thing you can do is just to be available for people.
So I have a question, which is normally on TeawithTols, we always have the 1 minute question. We did it with Jack the last time, which is like your key takeaway. So like I say, we have Genz'S and Millennials, all young people who have so much passion, purpose, life is still going on. But there is a feeling of anxiety, of worry, of loneliness, boredom. And this in itself is like the survival guide, but really and truly it's just, how can we as a generation just get through this together? What would be your one advice or your one key takeaway? At the start, we had Hannah who was saying, I just want some positive tips on how I can actually go through this. And I think we've actually addressed that personally. But I think what will be your one advice before we leave this webinar, of just keep going, people, we got this.
It's a very
difficult one. The 1 minute is always a difficult question, because it's not really...
Can I get like 10 seconds just to think about it?
Yeah, for sure. Whilst Jack is thinking, guys, please, if you have any other questions that you want to ask, if there's any comments, or if you have tips yourself you want to share that has worked for you for any of the questions that we've asked so far, please do send us a message. Definitely love to hear from you.
Okay, there's a lot of things. One would be use your time wisely. Time is such a powerful thing. You could, in the space of a day, you could make £10 or you could make £1 million, depending on how you spend your time. Support people around you, bring love and light into the world. What you put out will come back to you. Don't be afraid to talk to people. Like, this is a really, really important thing. Don't be afraid to talk to people. You're not always going to get the response back that you want from people, but it's okay to be vulnerable. Manage your expectations. Don't worry about, you know, you can't always expect people to behave in a particular way. In this period of time, you will probably have had friends who you would have thought would call you more. Don't allow that to get on your nerves. Like, it's fine. Like, everyone's suffering. Trust in yourself, believe in your power, understand it. And I really do mean this. There is greatness inside of you, that tomorrow you can be a better version of yourself. than you were today. You look at people like Kobe Bryant, you look at people like Elon Musk, you look at the greatest people that have ever existed in the whole of human history. They are human beings. They started from the exact same place that we all started off as, and it's just being intentional, knowing where you want to go and believing. That's it. If you believe you can or you can't, you're probably right. You've heard that saying before, and it's true. All the difference between you being the person that you are now and you being the greatest possible person that you could ever be is your decisions. That's the only difference between those two and the actions that you take.
I love that. Thank you so much. I think I would second that exactly what you've just said. And for me as well, I think it's just to be like satisfied, or to be, what's the word? Just okay with yourself. Yeah, grateful. Just finding how each day, just looking at the positives for each day, like, you know, even when you're so frustrated, it's like, tell yourself what good thing has happened today. There's always a good thing. Shift your perspective. Like, if we're always moping around, or if we're always like, oh, this is shit, it is going to be shit, because what you tell yourself is what you produce. So I think it's just staying, and you hear this a lot, it sounds cliche, but trying to stay positive, it's hard. But honestly, if you tell your mind today is going to be a good day, at the end of the day, it probably was a good day. So it's just, you know, always looking for the positive and always being grateful in every situation, but also be kind, guys. I think we're all going through this. When you can share opportunities, if it's job opportunities, if it's like business ideas, share with each other. But my biggest thing is, don't stop talking to people. Don't bottle it up. If you think that this is happening to me, it's only me facing depression, or it's only me being this lonely, it's not just you. People are going through it. Talk to people, even if it's people that I'm always available, but like myself and Jack are always available. There's our social media handles in the email you're going to get afterwards. If you want to follow up on Twitter, TeawithTols. Like, honestly, please talk to people. Like, people are always here to just listen.
And that's something that I have to second. Like, I'm being serious when I say this. If anybody at any point in time wants, and I know this is weird, but like, if you want, you can call me on Instagram or whatever, and I will talk to you and talk you through the process, what I learned, because I know what it's like when you're in that place and how difficult it is. So, you know, I'm available, and
yeah,
more than happy to help. Well,
that wraps up our first webinar, well, TeawithTols' first virtual event. Thank you so guys. Thank you so much, guys, for choosing to spend your afternoon with us. This was recorded, so do check out on YouTube if you missed it. If you just like came in, it's been recorded on YouTube. It's going to be on social media as well. All of the details would be sent to you right after this, including the video that me and Jack spoke about on TeawithTols. I hope you guys found something to take away from this. I don't want it to just be a conversation with two people. I literally do hope you guys find something to empower you through the rest of the week, if not just for today. Thank you, Ore. I just saw your thing. You caught it really briefly, but like I say, girl or boy, sorry, I don't know. You can catch it on YouTube. It is going live. So thank you guys so much. Hope you have a good rest of the day. Jack, you're always amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much for having me. And if you wanna find me, guys, my handle on Instagram is JAKK.GERARD. Jack Gerard.
And I'll be sending that as well with the email and follow-up that comes after this. Thank you so much, guys. Stay safe, stay motivated, and just stay smashing life. All right. Thank you and goodbye.
Peace.
Bye.